Live and direct, we come and never pre-recorded, with information that will never be reported. Disregard the mainstream, media distorted. We come and listen and support it.
Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome.
What up?
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
And we're back.
So, yeah, that's our thing. So I have, like, professional, super professional intros for you guys. You mind if I spout them off?
Run it.
Okay. So today we have gentlemen from Blue Ridge Mountain Recovery Program up in Ball Ground, Georgia.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
We have Todd Stumbo here. We have Graham Skinner. So I'll start with Mr. Todd Stumbo has worked in the field of addiction treatment for over 10 years.
Now we're pushing like 17.
70. So it does. Okay, side note, I did get this from his website because you did not send me an updated bio.
Yeah, I didn't.
So we're in this together.
Yeah.
He has been in the field of addiction treatment for over 17 years, currently the CEO of Blue Ridge Mountain Team, and has held management positions at several long-term residential facilities in the greater Atlanta area. Todd Stumbo is a certified addiction counselor, certified anger management specialist, and relapse prevention specialist.
There's a lot more now.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to go into that.
I really fucked this up good. I like how we're starting this. I'm like, dude, I'm ready to do this. I wasn't prepared. Okay, this could be wrong too. I'm going to read it though.
All right.
Mr. Stumbo integrates his own personal recovery experience to his clinical leadership and is an avid sportsman.
That's true.
What do you...
That is true.
Joust.
Yep.
And shot put.
Yeah, what do you do?
That's what I think when I hear sportsman. I think joust and shot put.
Well, it could be that way. I love to duck hunt.
Okay.
I love that kind of. I love the outdoors.
Nintendo style.
No, like
No, just
legit. Yeah.
Like
I
on
just
a boat
went.
with a hat that has.
No, I
the
don't
things
do.
that-
I don't
Yes,
really
like
do
the
the
cartoons.
boat. Yeah, I don't do the boat thing. I like duck blinds. So you go. They're like pits that are dug down in the ground in front of a pond.
Cool.
And you climb down inside of it, and you just sit and make calls, all that kind of stuff. And they circle, come in, and you jump
Dang.
up like I got
You know,
you.
we
Do
got
you eat them? Do you eat the ducks?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like stir fry. So yeah, it's good.
We got a snow goose when you first walk in that
Right.
my father-in-law got,
Very,
and he said he was in. I think it was Nebraska.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was like dead of winter, and there's no limit, and you shoot as many as you want. And he lay down and just like, and then they'd come out.
That's because they're considered flying carp.
Okay.
They're not good to eat. What you do with those is grind them up and make summer sausage with them. You put other fats in there and eat them with crackers. But the reason they're no limit is because they're a nuisance. They'll come on like farmers' land, eat all their corn, poop everywhere.
Yeah,
so you can just go. You can literally take the plug out of your shotgun and load it, because usually you're only allowed 3 shells in a shotgun. You can take the plug out and put 5 to 8, whatever your gun will hold, and just unload them.
What
Take them down.
What about like
Jesus.
a fully auto Uzi?
Yeah, they wouldn't let you do that. Yeah, I'd be
What are you
impressed
hunting?
if you could hit one. Yeah, but I love the outdoors. I love shooting sports. You know, that I've gotten into that. Got my own little side gig where I've got my federal firearms license and sell guns and things on the side.
And you can shoot feds.
No, I don't know. What you do that.
So now that I totally botched your intro, Seb, you are an avid sportsman. So
Right, I am that. Yep.
let's try Graham's. Oh, God. But you sent me yours.
I typed it out last night quickly.
Mr. Graham Skinner is a certified addiction counselor and interventionist. Graham is in the business development department for Blue Ridge Mountain Recovery Center. Graham's passion and calling to work in the treatment industry comes from his own recovery, as he is a person in long-term recovery for over 12 years.
Is that straight? 12 years straight?
Continuous
awesome,
sobriety.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
That
They
one
always
day,
like to throw that in there.
you came to work, I was kind of questioning.
Now, when you say sobriety, you just mean no liquor.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. We actually, there's a funny story on that.
good.
So the place I worked at before, we took everyone to the Braves game, right? And my grandmother, she's a sweet old lady, and she was like, "But you guys don't drink beer when you're there, right?" And I was like, "Each person could have one light beer. That was it, right?" And she like legitimately was like, "That doesn't make sense." And my wife was like, "You can't do that, Charles." I was just kidding. But no one's
It
drinking.
doesn't count if it's
Nobody's
light beer.
drinking. Yeah.
If it's under 100 calories
in
per
one,
beer. it doesn't
in
count.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Continual sobriety. Yes.
That's awesome. Man.
Yes.
But yeah, those are the super professional intros that I had. And I wrote to find out more about Todd Graham and the rest of the team. After our chat here today, please visit BlueRidgeMountainRecovery.com. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, but don't pay attention to my bio because it's,
it's wrong, guys.
Yeah. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump to with Acadia to get stuff changed, so it's
okay.
Something I prioritize.
And here it's super simple. It's like you just tell me, and I'll go on the website and I'll update it. Yeah. I write my own bio. You should read my bio. It says like I'm an unstoppable rebel force of love and light.
But
what do you do at Eternal Strength? Yeah, a lot of fucks.
Fucking stoppable.
Because we put that, it's on my Facebook. Like what I do, it says unstoppable rebel force at Eternal Strength Youth Center. So, anyways,
you are an outlaw.
I like that.
I'm an outlaw. It says it on my face.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to have you guys both on here.
Absolutely.
And I say this. Todd and I have known each other for a while and then met Graham more recently, but Graham's known a lot of people up at Eternal Strength, and I can't say enough good things about both of these men and Blue Ridge and the work that you guys do. Blue Ridge for us is somewhere that I've had clients and families go, and the feedback is always the same. It's like, it was awesome, it was super helpful, and so to have that and for us to work collaboratively together in the community, it's huge. So we wanted to have you guys on, and we're going to be doing a lot more podcasts, but we have a couple prompts, and then we just want to wing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. We're done.
He said winging it in the group thread, and I was like, well, typically when we wing it, it's like a 2-hour podcast. I'm like, what are we even talking about?
Right.
It's like hanging out.
You know, like Steven Seagal. We got to talk about Chuck Norris. We got to get into Kung Fu movies. Then we got to talk about South Park and Family Guy. We don't know where it goes.
Right.
We got to make sure we hit those things.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out. And you've been here before a couple times.
Yeah.
And Todd, this is your first experience here. What
it is. I'm impressed, man. You guys have got it going on. I mean, it's the most unique setup I've seen in the industry, and probably one of the most, in my mind, versatile and entertaining for sure. So it targets the population you guys are going after. I could totally see how you're one of the top in the industry. I mean, I'd come here for treatment if you'd let me.
Rock and roll.
We won't let you.
Yeah, that's what
Sign him up. Lily, get him on the books.
Right.
But I mean, to that point, you know, it's funny, like that terminology you utilize. We built Eternal Strength, and it was an expansion of my private practice, but I just listened to the youth. I was always like, had musical stuff and a pool table in my old private practice office and a lot of art stuff. But then when I'd start to talk to them, and I'd be like, man, if you could go anywhere you wanted, what would it look like?
Yeah.
Right.
And we kind of started to dream it together. And then everything felt, at least for me, and I think for you, organic. Like when we got the building, organic. We went through, and almost in a synchronistic fashion, we were like, this is the podcast room, this is the music studio, and everything just felt like it worked.
But back to your point about asking the kids, you personally saw an opportunity with the mental health field.
No. I was freaking out because I had nowhere else there was nowhere else for them to go. There was really good IOP programs and PHP programs, but it was like, super honestly, I was like, man, I'm just going to cruise in private practice, and it's just going to be me solo. I can control everything. I don't want to run a team. I don't want to work with all these different variables.
Too late, buddy.
But then it was
2
like,
years
it was
later,
the kids, man.
But what I'm saying, like, you saw a gap in care.
It's semantics. When I hear opportunity and things.
Well, the reason I said that was because it's a segue into my question, jerk. Okay. Thanks for screwing that up.
He's like trying to bring you back to
what you're saying is you saw an opopportunity.
No,
like,
right? Actually, Zach, that's entirely wrong. You don't understand me at all.
Remember when somebody came on here and they asked like what the vision was, and I totally botched that. And you're like, hold on, let me handle this, bro. I was like, gosh, fuck. I never want to listen to that again. But what I was going to ask you guys, instead of us robbing this whole thing, but I want to ask, what opportunities do you currently see in the mental health industry as far as how it operates? And is there anything that you and your team are currently doing to disrupt the industry in some way to help it be guided more to a holistic space of healing?
Well, I made a shift from years ago, becoming a CEO, it's, I stayed in direct client care for a period of time, but now it's kind of shifted out of that. And from where I sit now, one of the biggest issues I think we face is not necessarily, it's a trickle down effect. So it's not necessarily the direct care right now. It's the care of the clinicians and people caring for the clients. So, I look at it as their mental health is vital to the clients getting the treatment they need. So I see a different perspective now of it's such a grind, and Blue Ridge is the same way. It's a heavy grind at Blue Ridge to come out, be a clinician, and what they go through on a daily basis is not to refresh them in some way, shape, or form. It's a negative experience for the client. When they walk in, they've got somebody that's sitting in front of them, supposed to help them, and that person's just checked out, because they go through different things, divorces and deaths and difficult times in their own life. So for me, what I'm starting to see, what needs to happen is leadership needs to step up and provide more care for those folks. So that's kind of on the side that I'm on right now. As far as the client care, I think when you take care of the people taking care of the clients, it's going to start to shift, and it was a new experience for me, because I was the guy that, initially had the thought indirect care, hey, this is just what you got to do. You got to put all your personal stuff aside, show up and get it done. And that's what I did for years till it hit me in the face, and then when I went through my own kind of battles as I transitioned to CEO and went through a divorce and all this kind of stuff, I started to see that gap in the mental health industry and the addiction industry. Is like, well, hey, who's showing up for them? Who's showing up to try to provide them an office space that's comfortable the way they want it? Who's showing up to them, when they're going through difficult personal experiences, things like that. So for me, it's really about the leadership in the industry. And it's gotten so competitive, and Graham can probably speak more on this, but the competitiveness and the approaches that business development takes and the demands on, admissions and numbers and all that kind of game, it puts a strain on people, So that, from my perspective, what's needed is healthier leadership that's driven about, staff care, not so much, the achievement of the program or the numbers of the program. And obviously, it's like we're owned by Acadia Healthcare. There's some standards that they require us to meet, which puts the pressure on everybody. For me, I try to interfere and not allow too much of that to trickle down on the staff. So, giving them training, the days off. We do stuff like a day of amazingness, as their birthday that's just paid. They get to take it off, do that kind of thing. So we try to figure out ways to combat some of that stress and make it a little more fun and entertaining rather than, just a grind every single day.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, I think too, I'll piggyback on what you said, because again, I agree with you, you're at a higher level, so you're looking at the staff. But from my perspective, especially 3 years ago, about 3 years, when I first toured Blue Ridge, got to know Todd, one of the things I loved was you could tell quickly that, they do all the clinical stuff and the mental health piece and the experiential training and the trauma and the CBT and the DBT, like all that stuff that everyone else does. And that stuff's great. You need it, right? But how do you create an experience and something that's lasting and much deeper than just those things, right? And I think that's what Blue Ridge does really well. I think, to answer your question, what kind of disrupts the industry and makes it stand out a little bit differently is that how do we make a lasting impact on this person's life? Like, we can do all those things. Those are great. How do we foster an experience where they're loved and cared for and they feel empathy? Those are the types of things that are going to carry on even deeper than sobriety and recovery and that type of stuff. So I think that's one thing. And then I agree with Todd too, is one of the things I love is, business development does get really cutthroat, and you have numbers, and everyone's got things we got to achieve and we got to do, right? But one of the things I loved was Todd saying, hey, like we're worried about the relationship, right? Go out and figure out not how can I get referrals and stuff from you, but what can I do for you guys, right? And having that mindset when you go in, that people first mindset. It's not about me, it's about the individuals, and it's not about the people we're trying to help. They're not just numbers. Right, we're not just filling beds, right?
And I don't require any numbers yet. He goes and sets it
That's
for himself.
I'm very performance driven. So it's a battle in my head to where
it's a fine line.
you
for
know,
sure,
like
man.
that drive of wanting to do good, but having to check myself and make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, right? And I do sometimes, you know, I'll get in my head of, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and I have to have him or my boss Colleen or someone, you know, to be like, that's not what we're doing. Like, that's not what it matters. You know what I mean? Like, how many people did you help out? How many people did you serve? You know, where did you add value this week, right? And then if you look at places you can add value and places you can serve, then from a business standpoint, it just works out.
Yep.
And it
happens,
mimics.
you know?
I love that answer.
Well, and it
That's
mimics
awesome.
this thing that what happened to me over years. I got to a place where I was, and the guy said, I forget who said it, where it clicked for me, but more or less they said, you know, you're using God as a resource and not a relationship, you know, and that was where I started to see a different vision. It's like, hey, I don't need to use the people that work for Blue Ridge as a resource to achieve and make a name for myself. I need to make relationships, you know what I mean? And kind of what, you know, you guys are kind of the standard for that here is what I've just seen, the culture that's been created and the dynamic you guys got. It's about relationships, you know what I mean, and not necessarily that resource. But everybody in the industry goes out and says, well, we're this resource, you know what I mean? And really, if you want to look at it hardcore, you don't need to be a resource. You need to be a relationship, you know?
Yep. Everything was built. When I think back.
That was in sync right there.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Man, like, it's hard because on one hand, you know that for the functionality and the operation that a certain goal has to be attained. Yeah. But I've always seen it in the mental health industry in particular, when sight gets taken away from the purpose, the mission, and the meaning, which is to help people grow holistically and give them the best care, then things get funky.
Right.
Where does it turn the other way? You know what I mean? Like,
it's not going to last.
Right. Where does where does it start to turn the other way, where it is taken off the health of the organization, the health of your clients, and where does it turn into just about numbers? And you know what I mean? Like, how does that get skewed?
For me, the personal experience was it all falls back on, at the end of the day, it all falls back on ego and fear, you know? So like when I got named CEO, it was not a lot changed for me in the sense of my drive and how I wanted to do things and how I was taking care of it. I didn't put a lot of focus on the money, the achievement, all that kind of stuff. The more acknowledgement I got from higher up, though, the more I desired to get more acknowledgement. It was like a drug in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, we need to be better. We need to da-da-da-da-da. And it became more about that. And you know, you go through these periods of time where you wake up, you know, because I noticed going through days I'd wake up and like, I don't want to do this, you know, and it was all because of what shifted in my heart and not so much the work itself. You know, when I showed up, it was about a number I had to hit or what I had to create there versus the relationships I was building, the impact I was having, you know, and I think it's easy for anybody to get lost, you know, and for me, the first thing to get from not being lost anymore is to admit that I'm lost. You know what I mean?
Find out where you're at.
I don't know where I'm at, you know. And, you know, I'll go away and do different retreats and stuff to kind of ground myself back in, okay, let me shake that off and come back to what's supposed to be important.
Yeah.
You know?
So the consistent check-ins maybe is where it is really at, where it comes down to. It's like that consistent check-in with yourself every single day and that inner work that we're supposed to be doing outside of the office, outside of the center.
Right.
Is very, very important.
But to your point, the inner work piece, Todd, is like, that's really hard to do if you don't have a leader or somebody above who values that and is doing that themselves.
Right.
But when you have somebody, when your whole team's doing that and focused on inner work and growth, I listen to Ram Dass a lot, and he says, I work on myself to help others, and I help others to work on myself.
Right.
But he knows I can't do somebody else's work. But I do. It sounds like you started to do a tremendous amount of your own work, and that could be in anybody's life, wherever you're at as a human being on your developmental journey. When you start to work on yourself, you do kind of wake up and you go, what's really fucking important in my life? Like, I don't necessarily think it's all financial or the bank account. it really comes back to relationship. And I love what you said about fear and ego. Those things steer you away from relationship, away from being in communication with something collaboratively, and then you kind of try and strong arm it on your own.
Well, and it puts you in a bad relationship. So like with money, if you go down and you write a list of things you want in a relationship, and then you reflect that on everything in your life, like money, my wife, whatever it is. I was working with a guy doing day trading. He said he loved it. Yet when we wrote down what he wanted in a relationship, it was none of what he got out of day trading. Day trading was full of anxiety and fear. And I was like, well, dude, you got to let go of that relationship, you know? But for me, it was, so when I started the inner work, like deep inner work, because we talked about this a little bit, but manifestation stuff started to come up. Well, I lost track or lost sight of what manifestation's really supposed to be about. So I was doing the whole, let me manifest this car and this house. Like, so it became a material approach. Well, when that stuff doesn't happen, you start to lose this, hope, and you start to try, how do I cut corners to get there quicker? Well, what I realized through that process was it wasn't about manifesting material possessions. It was about manifesting a certain type of man that's supposed to show up on a daily basis.
The higher concept of yourself.
And you can lose that quick, because all the YouTube videos, all that talk about manifestation, they draw you in with the money signs and all that. And then when you get really deep, it's about looking at how do I be this man of energy, patience, and gentleness. Like that's what I try to manifest every day versus the number of clients or number of admissions or whatever it may be. And I think that's the part people got to be careful about when you go inside to do work. Don't rely just on, YouTube and external resources. You got to find somebody that's walked that path before to kind of guide you through some of that, for sure.
When you're talking about the manifestation stuff too, like me personally with inner work, I'm in a big season of really focusing on like the present moment. Right. Because what I'll do is I'll look, okay, I got to hit these numbers, right? Or I got to get here financially, or I got to get here in the business world, or here, even as the person I want to become. And I'll get so focused future sense that I'll be missing whatever experience God has for me right now.
I've never done that, Graham.
What experience? Yeah, right.
I've never. I don't know what you're talking about.
What experiences God wants you to have? It's the one you're living currently right now.
Yeah.
And my whole the past couple months and right now, I'm trying to focus on how do I stay present moment and figure out what He wants right now for me.
Yeah. Well, if you're continually doing what you know you need to do in the present moment, you don't have to worry about the future.
Yeah, it takes care of itself. Correct. Especially if your whole focus is how do I put others first? You know? How do I work on myself? How do I can control what I can control, which is that's my inner work, that's myself, that's my you can control your relationship with God, your higher power in some sense. You know what I mean? But I can't control you. I can't control the referrals coming in tomorrow or this or that. Like I can control right now, and I can control this, and I need to focus on that. And tomorrow may not even come, So if I'm living in tomorrow, I'm just missing today. That's big for me. That's what I do. I will stay in the future.
It's easy to do, man. It's really easy to do. Or completely live in the past. Ugh.
And I don't want to put like blame or on anything, but it does seem as if our culture and society, it's very hard. The default setting is to ruminate about the past, to speculate on the future, to go after anxiety and fear producing quick hits that give you adrenaline. Everything's feeding this evolutionary psychology, the amygdala, and fear based. It does something, and so it's an act of resistance and rebellion to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. This isn't healthy. This isn't nourishing me the way that I need to be. I have to actively practice something different.
Right.
And that active practice, man, it's tough. It's crazy tough. I'm manifested a gold hat the other day.
You should get a gold microphone.
Yeah.
Next time you guys see me,
wait, are you? Why?
Cane. I was just
kidding. Oh, I thought you were serious. You really get a gold hat?
And then, man, I lose it, though. I have such this... My ego will show up in an academic sense.
Right.
No way.
But it's in a way, it's very cynical. It's extremely trickster. So it wants to just like play the other role. But I remember, that documentary, Health, the one that you were talking
I
about.
really
with
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Deepak Chopra and all this.
No, heal.
Yeah, heal.
It's talking about
Dr.
healing,
Dr. Joe
healing
Dispenza.
yourself with your
Yeah.
own mind, which
Yeah.
is, I mean,
I know, but then I get to the point where, like, I
proven.
watch like clips from it, and I'm like, "Cool, you did it. Bravo! What'd you accomplish? How selfish of you." But like, I do this weird thing. But my point to bring it back is like, I think we live in a day and age in which people are very self-centered. Enlightenment, meditation, mindfulness, manifestation has become a ego-driven, self-centered, psycho-spiritual work on Instagram. It's become, I'm a shaman, I'm a healer, and we've lost the collective capacity, which is I feel best when I'm doing my own work, but my own work is to help my community. It's to show up and be in service to others around me, and then we all benefit together.
Right.
It's that individual nature thing that can very easily, you will see people that claim to care about the collective, but then when you really boil it down, they're very, very focused on themselves and what benefits them and only them. And then they're interested in helping others. And I think it takes a lot of commitment to just say, man, we all have to grow collectively, and we have to figure out a way to do that. And I'm not saying that you need to neglect yourself, but you feel best. I feel best when I get out of my own fucking head, man. The days I've had the worst days is when I'm focused on my tiredness, my hunger, what I'm not getting, how I feel. Those are the days I feel the worst, when I fold in on myself. And then when I focus on others, like Todd and Graham are coming to the podcast today, we got to make sure it just, you center your attention somewhere else.
yeah, it was nice.
Well, and it's
I got to get their bios right.
yeah. It becomes a habitual mindset. You know what I mean? And I don't know that there's like, I look at my kids and they're not to blame for where they're at. It's society will push that on you. And it's like, you know, how do you live with stuff like TikTok and Instagram and all that? Because you can't get rid of it. You know what I mean? And it's like my kids are exposed to it. It's like, how do I parent them in a way that combats some of the stuff they're going to learn and gain from doing that? And that's what I've learned about myself is I can go into a meditation or whatever it is I'm doing, and the habitual mindset of why I'm doing it, the motive, in other words, is the key. And that's the piece I got to start to look at, and I think everybody's got to look at. It's just kind of like, hey, why do I work out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it for myself, other people? Was it, you know? And at the end of the day, for me now, this shift has happened is because I always struggled with the image of myself just from stuff in my past. And at some point it shifted. I quit working out for myself and start working out for the fact of my longevity, my kids.
Yeah.
You know, try to be a little more healthy with what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff.
Falling in love with the process rather than falling in love with the outcome.
Right.
Well, the process is usually what needs to be fixed, and that's what's going to change the outcome. You know, we look at the outcome.
Yep.
How do I fix this thing
Yep.
quickly? I think we all like instant gratification. The problem is it's your process that gets you there, and even more so before the process, it's the belief system that's really driving all that stuff. You know, and to your point, when you're talking about ego and self-centeredness and all that kind of stuff, I think everyone, when they heard what you said, hopefully not everyone would be like, you know what, we do need to do that. The problem is you got to look inward and do inward, you know, your own work.
Yeah.
And that's scary and painful. And a lot of people, once they finally start realizing what they have to uncover and the work you have to do, they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to, I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
What do you mean I got to do
it
that?
dissolves.
What?
It's like, who am I? That question just rings more and more true. And as you peel layers, you start to see aspects of self that are daunting or challenging or you don't want to look at. Yeah, it's difficult. But like you said, if you can just find somebody who's walked that path, who's honest, who's genuine, who's like, man, I can't walk it for you. I can never do the work for you, but I'll take your hand and sit with you as you do this work.
Well, and I think COVID has impacted so many people and just made it worse because it created this fear of other people. You know what I mean? So like, you don't want to get around them. I stay isolated. I mean, it was a complete. Now, granted, there are some people that used it for good and reached out to help other people. And I'm not downplaying the impact of what it can have and the threat it could be, but I think it did create a ton of fear in a lot of people that made them withdraw from other people, the connection experience, you know what I mean? Which is sad to see. It just only fuels the hate and everything else that we experience around the world, you know?
I remember.
2-minute mark. Gentlemen.
Really? What?
Just like that,
Are you
33 minutes.
serious?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm taking the last 2 minutes. Here we go.
You would. I'm just saying, yeah.
There's that ego right there, right?
Should we go? Should we do more?
No. What do you mean? I don't say it like that, but I mean,
Didn't you say it just cuts us off at 2 minutes? You can't record any more than 30?
we have 1 minute to fill, like, with the audio
Since
that
we've been
we're running.
talking about,
We've been talking for 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I value you guys doing deep work, and it's important, man. And us talking about this, yeah.
Well, and I value what you guys are bringing to the industry. It's a unique approach that I think your teacher, Hans
Scott Meyer.
Yeah, that dude, like, he was one of the first people I heard talk about this kind of angle, you know. When
Radical youth work. Yeah.
So ever since then, I've been impressed with what you've put on the table and whatnot. So I'm blessed you guys are around in my life, part of the industry, and hopefully you just have a huge impact on other leaders for sure.
Ditto, man. We're so glad to know y'all. It's beautiful. And as the exponential growth curve of technology and TikTok continues to advance, we'll all see each other in the metaverse as we shop for groceries with our AI.
That's it. That's it. We're done.